I'm Steve.
And I'm Carol.
And I was a federal employee as the Deputy Chief Financial Officer for the Department of Commerce. And my entire federal career lasted approximately 38 years.
And I'm married to Steve, and I'm a real estate agent. And we've been married for 38 years.
I would say my first concern was making sure that I had a plan on how I was going to have enough income when I was retired. And then the second one would be determining the right time to retire.
Very similar to Steve's, knowing that we would be financially stable and able to make that adjustment.
That's a good question. At what point did the adjustment for the pension kick in? Um, and then, you know, what was going to be coming out of the pension versus, like taxes and health and things like that, and how was that all going to work?
I think also too that Maria brought up the importance of hanging on until Steve was 62. And I don't think we were aware of how that affected his pension. So as soon as Steve heard at 62, he hung on for dear life to get to 62. And he did.
It was a very pleasant and enjoyable discussion. It was just like talking to the next door neighbor. Um, and she made it easy to understand as we were just trying to make our way through. What did we want to find out? What were our questions? And it was through a series of, I think we had about 3 meetings with her just to determine what did we need to get together, what did we need to look at, sending information to her, and things of that nature. But it was all very cordial. It was very easy to understand, and any questions we had were, without hesitation, were answered as quickly as they could be.
I liked that Maria really took her time to I understand our financial picture. We provided her income, our expenses, our goals. And it was a process where we worked with her for possibly, once we had a session with her, she gave us time to really digest it. There was not a lot of pressure. It was like maybe 3 weeks later, we met with her again. So she was giving us an opportunity to really just take time to process
Think
what she
through
was
everything.
saying.
It gave me an idea of what the estimated monthly annuity would be for my pension. Having looked at what my TSP, the thrift savings plan amount was, she also helped do an analysis of when to potentially start that or what to do with that resource, the funds. And as Carol has already pointed out, the biggest eye opener for me was, rather than initially thinking I was going to be retiring in a December timeframe, I ended up retiring 15 months later to get to that 62, which gave the 1.1% bump per year as opposed to the 1% per year of service. So that was the biggest. Originally, going 3 more months till I retired or going 15 more months to retirement. That was probably the biggest uh, input that she had for us that made me decide to change when I was going to retire.
Yeah, Maria really gave us a game plan. We were like the deer in the headlights, not really knowing how to go about it. And by talking to us and helping us know the pool of money we could use until things changed, it was very helpful.
I did go to a seminar about 5 years before retirement um, to learn about what the FERS retirement system was. And that's where I basically got sort of the fundamentals. I did not get the understanding that it was the age of 62. I actually had a wrong understanding, which Maria corrected. I thought it was years of service that got you to the 1.1% for the pension. Um, and then she reaffirmed a lot of what I did get through that process. But that was the earliest that I could have a seminar within the agency was 5 years before, which my comp feedback to them was that seminar should be like 15 years before because you don't understand the impact of how much money you're putting in and how much money it'll accumulate through all of the compounding and things like that with your thrift savings plan. So
So I did not attend any sessions with Steve. So the first time we met with Maria was the first I was hearing of, the federal
benefit process. Yeah.
benefit process, right?
I think they give it to you and but it's like quick. It's not they don't give you this is how long what your eligibility date is, what it means to go as a deferred retirement, what it means to take an early retirement, what it mean all those types of things I didn't find out about, along with when does when you have the option for Social Security. Oh, and the one thing that I didn't point out was I did not have an understanding of that. I'm not going to get the terminology wrong, but the Social Security supplement that if I was to retire before I was eligible to take Social Security, I would be eligible for the Social Security supplement, um, which I didn't have to worry about because I didn't retire when I was eligible for Social Security. So, but that was another piece of information that Maria kind of clarified and factored in as she was giving us our financial analysis. That's sort of like a night and day question. Because before, as Carol said, we really didn't have a plan other than the fact that I knew I wanted to retire. And that it was getting close to that point where I wanted to, a combination of wanted to and had to because I was just ready. And so the information that Maria provided was extremely informative and useful and was the basis for making our final decisions as to when was going to be the time I would, pull the plug and say, this is my last day.
I also think that we were very fortunate that she helped us kind of budget and think about other things besides just the pension money. But she also talked about budgeting and budgeting for travel. Maria loves to travel and we love to travel. So that was important to us too, that we knew that we could retire and still retire, travel and do the things we love to do.
One of my considerations is I didn't want to have my quality of life, my standard of living change. So that factored into as we were come showing what the sources would be, was it going to be equivalent to what I was getting while I was working? And that's working with Maria, we were able to work through that timing and what that amount would be.
And we also really value the annual meetings we have with Maria, where we can, she kind of checks in with us and says, okay, how's it going? And what's it looking like?
Has
And
anything changed?
has anything changed? And we have delayed taking our annuity and really maxing out on what's the smartest thing to do while we kind of wait a little while. And it's always nice to have somebody in your court kind of saying, okay, you're okay. You can do this.
Right. As a finance person, I'm very big I'm very conservative, and so I'm big on stability and our conversations and the solution of taking the resources from my TSP and putting it into an annuity that had the ability to ensure that I never lost. I would have never lost money, but gave the ability to continue to grow was something that I didn't know existed as an option. So that made me feel very comfortable. The fact that what I pulled out is my foundation or the principal from my TSP, I wouldn't be losing that by putting it into a more volatile, market situation where in another year, I wouldn't have the same amount to guarantee how much money I would be able to take out. I would say overall, it was like I started off with, it was a very comfortable and easy conversation, like talking with your neighbor. And she demonstrated a very strong knowledge level that reduced our anxiety, it reduced our confusion, it provided us with the information. She was able to provide us with the information that we needed. And when she didn't happen to have the exact information, we got it fairly quickly after our Zoom call. So I would say that it went as well as I could have expected. I was, as Carole pointed out, and I'll let her speak for herself, but we felt very good about her interest in just us and learning, trying to understand what was important to us, versus just looking at purely the numbers and saying, here's the point where you should be taking the money, here's what you should do at this point. It was very personable.
Yeah, I think Maria's whole process just gave us the confidence that we needed. Especially, I found it especially interesting when the check for that came out of TSP was being moved to the annuity. And we kind of joked because Maria was going on vacation. And we were thinking, okay, we knew that there was going to be a period of time for it to hit the different accounts. And she was so good in making sure that we were feeling okay, that she was monitoring it. And even despite her being on some travel at that time, because there was, it's like, whoo, we just saw a huge, uh,
Yeah.
a huge withdrawal from the TSP, and we just wanted to make sure. But it was because of Maria's way of doing the business that really made us feel like we were working with the right person.
The ability to get up and go to either visit our grandchildren or to go on travel whenever we have the desire to. So now that I have a much more open calendar, um, and and Carol doesn't get to go off to see granddaughters that I can't see because I'm tied to a desk. The ability to be able to do that, that's what I'm looking forward to. And as we've already experienced in this first year, is being able to go where we always wanted to go and never had the time to do.
Actually, Steve hasn't stopped smiling since he retired. I've always, you talk with other people and they always say, hey, I'm waiting till retirement. People always wait and wait and wait. And this really gave us the opportunity to our year of 2025. How many countries we went to. We spent 84 days with our long distance granddaughters, and it was a great year.
Yes.
And we want to do it
Every year.
while we can, while we're healthy
Yep.
and we can enjoy the hard work, especially Steve working 38 years, getting up at 6 in the morning and coming home after when it was dark.
Yeah.
But he hasn't stopped smiling.
I would say don't hesitate to do it. You will not regret, one, the personal touch as well as the level of information that you thought you already knew, but you may not have known 100%. And by the time we finished, I feel like if I didn't know 100%, I was very up at the 98, 99%, much better than what I knew going into it with that 5-year-old seminar that I had talked about.
I like to think that knowledge is power. And certainly, Maria, if we hadn't met with Maria, oh, I mean, we know we would have made some mistakes, probably some very costly mistakes. And that's even getting to age 62 and understanding
Right.
because Steve was ready to retire 15
15 months
months
earlier.
before. So it was a long 15 months, very long. but we could have made some big financial mistakes.
You have anything to add?
You know, the other thing that Maria did was that she really researched all the different funds for her and for us. And I feel like every year when we meet with her, her guidance is so valuable because she's putting us, making sure the annuity is doing what it should and not costing us. It's smart. It's very smart decisions that she's helping us to make.
Right. Informed decisions too.
Informed,
Yes.
yes.
Yep.